Hello everyone, welcome to my repaint of Sesshomaru from Inuyasha. For this project, I use a kendo as the base because Sesshomaru is quite fair skinned. After removing his hair and his face paint with acetone, I primed his face with Mr. Super Clear and applied on quite a few layers of white pastel to line it up to the proper shade. Because the skin color of the doll is also rather pink, I neutralized that by mixing a little bit of blue and hay color together with a white pastel. Normally, white pastel tend to be darkened by Mr. Super Clear, however, as long as you use a good quality, highly pigmented pastel, there should be no problem. So I did the same to the body. I also blushed at the joint and various areas on the body to give it a little bit of definition. So a shame about this doll, the joint barely moves. You can't move the arm aside from going front and back. So after I figured the head was not lined up and applied a few more layers to line the skin up further. And of course, we're gonna fix that pastel on with another layer of Mr. Super Clear. So for the face, I started by mapping it with a light watercolor pencil and eventually going darker and building up the color intensity once I figure out everything is in their proper place. So for this project, I was a little bit impatient and didn't let the MSC dry properly before drawing on it. The pastel sticks, but the color pencil didn't, which frustrated me to no end until I set the project aside and come back the next day and figure out my mistake. So tips, let the MSC dry at least half an hour before going back to it. So if you notice, I actually rooted the hair before doing the face, but completely forgot to mention that. So anyway, I contour and blush for definition to his feature and to the ear, of course. The tip of the ears are actually molded with epoxy sculpt after I rerooted the hair and painted on to resemble the skin color and covering it with pastel so it looks seamless against the skin. Can't forget his markings, of course. So for his markings, I skip having to use MSC to build up the layers and reach the color intensity that I want by just wetting the pencil and drawing it on. Though with this method you have to be careful because the pencil gets soft and can build up colors in small chunks that could smudge everywhere. So but your saving grace is wet Q-tips. You can always erase your mistake with one, though sometimes it won't lift off all the colors, so you might have to remove whatever mistake you make with acetone and redoing the area. Though whenever that happened, I would just remove the face entirely and do it again. The same with the moon on his forehead. So I keep working until I reach something I am pleased with. His eyebrow was a little bit harder to draw because white color pencil doesn't show up well at all. Yeah, what I did instead is add a little bit of brown to outline where the eyebrow is, so that you can actually see it. Sometimes as the layers build up, the MSC will eventually sort of wash out some of the color, and you might have to go over that. So I just keep working until I reach something I am pleased with. So I use a mixture of matte varnish and water to seal in and protect the pastel on the body because MSC is quite expensive. A tip, I use a sponge to wipe off excess pastel that may show up unevenly. So for his clothing, I mainly use one technique. I painted on the fabric using a mixture of fabric medium, water, and acrylic paint to dye the fabric to a desirable color without it getting too stiff. At a scale, stiff fabric won't let me achieve a more realistic look, especially how flowy everything looks on him. So I would paint, and then afterward I would paint on the pattern with with a disappearing ink pen to mark where everything is before painting it on everything else on with the pattern on with acrylic paint or gel pen. Of course, you have to mix the paint well. Make sure that you won't get lumps, because that's gonna, when you paint it on, you have lumps, it's gonna go on unevenly. Whatever mistake you make, sometimes you would get a little bit of smudge of different color here and there. You can always lift that off with a little by rubbing it a little bit with wet tissues. So here I use a hair straightener to heat set everything. Depending on this type of fabric medium, you might need to heat set, though it's not a requirement. But with the type I'm using, it's recommended that I do. So you can wait for everything to dry before trimming off into the shape piece of fabric that you want. So this is right here, I'm making his duft. This kimono should use the same technique. I actually painted the pieces because this kimono is mainly panels, rectangle panels sewn together. I actually painted it on before I sew everything together, because if I painted it on while everything is already made, there is a really big chance that things are gonna smudge onto each other. So to avoid that, I just paint everything on this kimono before I actually put it together. So the sash is one of the things that I don't really have a reference on, because it's not from the traditional look for a kimono. So I just made it as I see it. Since there's no direction on how to tie it, so I just make it easy on myself and make it into a form that I can tie with just tying up a bow. So for a snail, I created using hot glue. I try to sand it for flatter appearance. However, I have to make new ones because the sanded one would have sticky chunks of hot glue that won't let me paint it on smooth. So when I paint the nails without sanding, it can look too bulgy. Actually look rather natural. So I left it like that. So for his kimono, interesting thing about this one, what he wears have sleeves that are too long to be seen on a male kimono in modern time, resemble a woman's kimono in coloration as well as pattern, and the long sleeves give off the appearance of a furisode. I hope I'm not butchering that. Typically worn by a young female coming of age or bride. So however, when I'm doing research on his clothing and his Japanese clothing in general, I found out that during his time period, it's actually perfectly normal for both male and females, young, from rich family to wear them. So yeah, he was probably wearing a furisode. So I make one according to that. So anyway, Japanese clothing tend to compose a lot of square, rectangular pieces of fabric from his kimono to his hakama. Which I found patterns online and scaled out to his size. So yeah, this is me putting a fundoshi on a doll because I'm a weirdo who gets a bit obsessive in her research. There are various types of fundoshis that differs depending on the region, time, and occasion. So next is his chuban, or underwear for the top anyway. There should be sleeves. However, because his shoulder joint is limited in movement, this would bulk up too much and leave no space for the armor under his armpit, which is also a reason why I also did not make the second layer of underwear, the nagajuban, which should resembles a kimono actually, full-size kimono, and provide the undercolor of the look. So actually I did make it, but I just didn't put it on him. And I also didn't line the inside of the kimono, like I said, too much layers. Though I did line the sleeves for the proper look. So the reason why there are so many layers is that people want to keep their kimonos clean from sweat and having to wash it as much as possible, so not to damage the fabric or cause it to fade. So actually his This fundoshi would actually also count as a juban or underwear, you know, because it is underwear. So his obi is painted to stiffen and prevent fraying, then tied to a knot called kanda musubi. This knot is tend to be favored because it's hard to unravel. What I did on camera is actually very sloppy work, but it's how the knot is tied. I just redid it off camera for a cleaner look. Of course, tuck everything in, make sure you don't see anything. So I readjust the kimono so that the seams align. And to put on the hakama, I have to tuck in the kimono in the back under the obi. Normally in hakama, you can actually also wear a han kimono, so that's half kimono. However, usually I think when I look at the furisode that was worn back in the day, they tend to be full size, so I just made it full size for the best luck. So for the hakama, you tie the string from the front first, and then the string from the back into a decorative knot on the front. So Japanese clothing always have a proper decorated knot to them. You can't just tie a bow and be done. It has to be pretty, apparently. So his hakama is a sashi nuki hakama, probably. There are many types. I try my best since this resembles his pants the most. As for his boots, I couldn't find anything about the boots during that time period, so I just made do by making what resemble his boots. Well, actually, I can't find anything on boots during that period. Don't even know if they actually wear boots during that period. His armor is the same, doesn't resemble anything from that time. The shape looks the same, and Takahashi, the author, proves to have been able to draw accurate armor on the humans and soldiers in the manga. However, my theory is that the demons probably use some sort of shells from other demons, hence the full plate rather than connected pieces. And instead of worrying myself to death over it, I just made what I see. So for a proper fit, I actually made all the clothes underneath, first put it on him, wrapped around his torso a few layer of paper and plastic so that I can protect his clothing, and then made his armor with some air dry clay. So here I'm tying on the sash. Yeah, sorry, my workstation's a mess. As far as hair, I first tried rooting with yarn, however yarn fiber is just not long enough no matter what I do. So instead I ordered synthetic hair. It's a bit pricey, but the result is good, so I don't care. It could actually withstand heat and could be curled with a straightener or curler. First, I gotta brush out everything before, then straighten it, then I get to the cutting. It's actually really fun to brush his hair, guys. So I trimmed the bang with a hair razor instead of with a scissor, because scissor give off a very blunt look and it won't look natural, so razor it is. Though for the back of his hair, I use a scissor first because that is a lot of hair to cut with a razor. With this synthetic hair, it was particularly hard to cut because the strands are thicker than what you would find in yarn. Yeah, that is an envelope to protect his clothing from the razor. Sorry, I just use whatever is within reach, so yeah. Yep. So I would go over the layers with the razor to make sure that things look less blunt, give it a softer appearance. You can also cut straight up at the tip, like what I'm doing now, to give it to help with the cut from looking too blunt. So yeah, see all that hair? It's a lot of hair that I have to clean up because it sticks on everything, including my clothing, and it pokes me through my clothing. The bangs can be controlled with a little bit of hairspray and heat from the strainer using a metallic stick. You just heat up the metal stick and curl whatever part you need. I didn't have it on camera, but I used my crochet stick to separate the bangs and give it the look similar to the official art. And his floof was handmade with a bunch of yarn and is tied and secured to his armor. Here's the final look. This doll will be up for sale. Please look into the video description for more information. I hope you enjoy.